Does a support team matter? Stay tuned. Welcome to this week's edition of NoteSchool TV. Where every Wednesday at 11:05 Central Time, we bring you the most amazing guests as well as the most amazing content. And again, we're raising the bar every week. So thanks for being here. Before we get started with our guest today and the news, a couple of things. Number one, I need for you to like this episode. Go ahead and hit the like button and make sure and share this as well. Share it with all of your friends, your business associates, all of those out there in your network. That'd help us out quite a bit. And then also, if you have not subscribed to the NoteSchool TV channel, go ahead and do that for us. And then number three, hit the bell notification. Yeah, bing, go ahead and hit that so that you will be notified every week right before we go live. When? 11:05 Central Time every Wednesday. Also, if you'd like to know more about what we do at NoteSchool, simply go to noteschool.com/TV. Again, noteschool.com/TV. So with that, let's bring on, NoteSchool's founder, our chief visionary officer, all-around good guy, my friend, Mr. Eddie Speed.
Good morning.
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm very good.
Yeah.
I am very good. Very excited about our guest this week, and I'm very excited about her story and what she has to talk about. And we are continuing to see a market opportunity out there more and more. So it's a fun time to be doing the business.
I can tell you guys that Eddie has his nose to the ground, and he is scoping it out, and he is out there in search of some great notes for all of our NoteSchool family. So stay tuned, guys.
Yeah.
Well, Eddie, let's jump to the news here. And
right.
You actually sent this to me on last Thursday, and so I have to give Eddie kudos for this one. And it was from The Real Deal. And Eddie, the headline is Syndicator Faces 2 Apartment Complex Foreclosures as the Dominoes Fall.
Joe, I'm just running a number in my calculator here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm making an assumption that this promoter got a minimum of 25% down on these properties.
Yes.
From investors.
From investors.
He could have gotten 35% down.
Right.
So 30% down is about $18 million.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, excuse me, 25% down.
Right.
30% down would be more. It'd be more in the 20s. $18 to $20 million. These properties are in foreclosure. That means these investors are going to likely lose $18 to $20 million. When we've been calling the ball on this thing, it wasn't like we were just picking on our friends over in the multifamily business and stuff. We were calling the ball because the market is doing what the market's going to do.
Yeah.
And when you see people losing that kind of money, that's why they're looking for other things to do.
It's hard on your heart, dude. It really is.
And so it's a big deal, and this isn't like the one story that's out there. It's kind of the story of the week. It's kind of the story of the day, so to speak.
That's right.
By the way, that was yesterday in Texas. They call it Super Tuesday.
Yeah.
Foreclosure day on Texas is the first Tuesday of every month.
That's right. There you go.
All right.
Eddie, so, here's the other part of that. They were just going to raise the rents over 2 years, $450 a unit, and flip it and then resell it for a quick $31 million profit. Wow.
That may be when the promoter is telling you the market, not doing market research.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Eddie, that is the news. That's what we're seeing. And I'm going to drop off here, and you come on, you bring our guest on today, and I'll see you guys at the back end of the show.
I look forward to it.
All right.
Our guest today is a lady that I have really grown to respect and just really appreciate her, not only her skill set, but her caring and her attitude. And, you know, they say attitudes are contagious. Is yours worth catching? Right? That was the old Southwest Airlines saying. And I will tell you that her attitude is contagious and it's worth catching. So I think you're going to like our guest today. And like her insights and her views of things. You guys welcome Miss Brenda Price.
Hi, Eddie.
How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on today.
I am so glad you're here. I do appreciate your attitude, Brenda. So, you know, they say we can decide in advance if we're going to be happy or not. And you just have a good way about you in doing that.
I try. I do my best every day, but
yeah.
Yeah.
So along with that, really what our topic for today is about, you know, supporting and a support system. And it's about community.
Right.
It's about NoteSchool's community and now how you're taking what you're learning from the NoteSchool community and going back out in your community with that.
That's right.
Right. So that's kind of that's where we're going to kind of go with this today. And you've done a really good job of that. Let's talk about really just from the beginning, what type of support options are available at NoteSchool when somebody gets started? Like, what does that look like for them?
Okay. When somebody comes on at NoteSchool, I'm the liaison. I'm their liaison. So when you come in the door, I welcome you in and say, you know, congratulations and welcome to NoteSchool. And then I have over 2 decades of education experience. And so I really, really believe in the education of a student. And that begins with a conversation. So we have a conversation, the student and I, about what are you looking for? What is your background? What is your goal? And then we really dig into what their path would be, because, you know, at NoteSchool, there's performing and non-performing and creative. And then we develop the path that the student would go on. And then I talk to them about, you know, their schedule and how it fits, you know, in a real life scenario. When are you going to be working on this? And then I talk to them about, give them a tour around what is available to them in their education. And we talk about the things that are there, like the webinars that they can submit their deals, which are very powerful. And students like to see that. And we go from there. We could go on. I mean, there's a long laundry list of items that we go through on the liaison call.
So just to clarify for the audience, Brenda is a very highly educated former teacher, right? School teacher.
That's
and
correct.
So then she became a real estate investor and then joined us. And she was an investor and just a student of NoteSchool. She didn't start out being the liaison. She had worked herself into where she had some available time. And we said, Brenda, we'd love for you to do this. So you do this on a part-time basis for us, but you've done this. What you're teaching them to do, you've done it.
That's right. So I started in April of 2020. So when I started, we were only meeting virtually.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we didn't have the opportunity for live interaction at the time. And when I started, I was single parenting 2 young children, and they were very active in the afternoons. And, you know, I struggled a little bit, like, how do I fit this in? And I can't go to the webinars, and I'm not getting the education. And I figured out a way to navigate it to suit what I had going on, and made it work. And that's what I help students do. You know, we figure out, how does this fit in your life, and develop an action plan for them. And I've done the same thing myself. And it's definitely been a worthwhile investment of my time and energy.
Brenda, one of the things that you do well is you start out with a lifestyle. You ask people about when they're coming to the liaison, you ask them lifestyle questions that lead to the direction that they're going to take, how they do note investing.
That's exactly right. You know, I think a lot of other programs is kind of flat. It's, you know, here's your education, go do that.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of it. Right. So I think of it more for the individual, like what is your background and what does your day to day look like and how do we fit this in and how does this work for you so that you can actually implement what you're learning.
Give us some range of what people tell you, Brenda.
Well, when I wake up and I realize, oh, I have a liaison call today, I'm always excited. It's never a situation where like, oh, I got to go to work. It's not like that. So I'm a student too. So I like to hear what is everybody doing and their story. So that is so varied what Note School students are doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're really kind of all over the map. We do get a lot of investors that were just doing rentals.
Yeah.
As you know, if anybody's paying any attention, that math doesn't math. So we get a lot of investors coming in and they want to figure out, well, how do I change my rentals into an owner finance scenario? So I get a lot of that. I get a lot of people coming in on the second act of their life, and they want to do things more passively and enjoy their life in abundance and not be burdened down with hyperactivity in their business. So they want to talk about, how do I do that? How do I transition into a more passive investment style? Sometimes we get individuals that come in and they're young and hungry and they're ready to be a note broker, or they want to implement the creative financing that you teach, Eddie, and they're all about that and they're ready to go. They're fired up and ready to conquer the world. So it just depends on who we have coming in the door, and it's very varied.
I think you're right. There's a grandparents part of Note School, there's a parents part of Note School, and there's a young adult part of Note School, right? Mm-hmm. Our biggest audience are people that are 55 plus.
That's
right.
Mm-hmm.
And so we serve that audience really well. Not that we don't the others, because I think we do. My son is a fireman and paramedic, as you know, Brenda, yet he works in the note side of the business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And works on looking and analyzing deals and doing that type of thing. So it's a good fireman's second job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we see that a lot where people have other businesses, but they want to do this. One of the things that I've heard people say, Brenda, and I wanted to talk about this from kind of your perspective of helping people sort through this at the liaison desk.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for an investing strategy, not an investing business.
Right. They want to take it to the next level and develop a strategy that works for them in a passive way long term. And you said something one time that stuck with me is I have children. My children are 17 and 19. So you said something one time, you said, is this a business that you want to leave to your children? And I thought about my investing business and how active I was. And the answer to that would be no.
Yeah.
So I want to move as much toward be the bank model as I can and teach others how to do the same as often as possible. As often as they are teachable.
Brenda, you and I've talked about this. You know my kids, and I have a daughter that's 35. She's a professional ballet dancer and now has a ballet company, right?
Nice.
That's her passion. Mm-hmm. But her investing strategy is notes.
Yes.
Right. I have a son that's a fireman and paramedic and has 3 small kids. Right. They have a busy life.
Mm-hmm.
Yet he wants an investing strategy. He's not going to give up being a fireman or paramedic, and you and I would never want him to.
No.
Right. I have a younger son and he's in sales. Same thing. So you don't have to go do this all the time to make this a good thing. We believe market timing is good to us at the moment, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I want to talk about how this relates to community, because what we're talking about now are life situations. Like you and I would never ask my daughter to give up dance, right?
No.
Right. Or your daughter give up. She's in engineering school.
Engineer. Yeah. Yes.
So we would never ask them to give that up, but that doesn't mean they can't do this as the way they grow wealth and legacy.
That's right.
So let's talk about how we weave that back into community. What's that look like at Note School's community level?
So the legacy piece is what you're asking about?
Yeah, or just can I say first I want to have a lifestyle, and second, then I want a strategy that fits my lifestyle.
Absolutely. And we have people that are in the retirement age, and that now they want to keep investing. I can think of several now. They want to keep investing, but they want that lifestyle of passive life. So they're living that. And then we're also seeing Note School students coming in, and they're bringing, like you said, your children and my children into the education and showing them how, yes, you can be an engineer, and yes, you can have your career. Yes, you can be in dance or police officer or whatever. But at the same time, let me provide you this education so that you can have an investing strategy. And then on down the road, if you decide as your life is transitioning that you want to quit your career, change your career, you're going to have options because you've been learning and doing this investment strategy along the way. So they're not a slave to their careers. They can make changes if they want to.
What do you think we have a number of different ways we connect with our community, right? We have deal labs, we have
Yes.
Facebook group, we have special events.
Yeah.
So there's not a one thing.
No.
But what one thing do you like the most?
Well, I enjoy the community and getting to know everyone. And we do have the webinars and the Facebook, and we have a huddle session. And if you're a new student, you definitely need to come to our huddle session. It's the second and fourth Monday of the month. It's kind of informal, and it's a great place to come in and have a conversation with the rest of us. But the best part about it is when you come together in a room together, when we have Summer Summit, Note Expo, if you're a Titanium member, we have the office visit. And when you get in the room with the other Note School students, that's my favorite part, because you realize what you are a part of. And it's not until you experience that you realize what you have given your time to, because Note School students are fantastic. They're humble, they're kind, they're giving. They're not going to be bragging or chest, beating their chest, and they're not going to be in competition with you. They want to help you and help each other. And I love that. I love the spirit of the students in Note School and how they live. They just live with a spirit of abundance, and let's share and work together, and let me help you and you help me. And if you're a new student and you haven't yet attended an event, you need to put that on your schedule and get there, because you don't understand into what you are participating in until you do come into the room and meet the other students. And that's my favorite part, is the networking with everybody. And it has really opened my eyes to what is possible. I every time I have a liaison call, I'm like blown away. Like, wow, that was possible. I didn't know people could do that. Like, that's crazy. And then the more I meet these students and the more I have conversations and develop relationships, I start thinking bigger and bigger all the time. So it's a beautiful thing. And I hope everybody comes to a live event and meets their fellow students.
Pretty impressive audience, isn't it?
Very.
We became very aware many years ago that we were attracting an audience, and what we said and how we went about it and how we described who we served had a lot to do with who came through the door, right? Mm-hmm. And so now you have this very family-oriented environment, mm-hmm. this very Note School family-oriented environment, and we're not a cult, okay? We're not a cult, but we are a family, right?
Yes.
And so it's a little bit that you don't know it until you see it.
That's right.
It's kind of like you said, it's kind of surprises people. But it's really important. And I agree with you. I love the live events. We have an office visit coming up next week.
That's right. I'll be there.
And we are very excited to do it and have it and be a part of it. And I really love that for sure. Yeah. And I love all of it. The deal labs are fun to me. Some people are really busy and they don't have time for the deal labs all the time. And there is kind of the ESPN version, right? You don't have to go to every deal lab but you can still stay involved in the strategies.
Yeah, and you can listen the next day. Buddy Young puts our videos out and transcribes them. He does such a fantastic job. And believe me, I've watched every single one of them. And a lot of times it's been the next morning. So I would get up at 5 a.m. the next morning because my days would be crazy. And Buddy always had it on there. So he will, he's fantastic.
Good guy. Former police officer, by the way.
I had a conversation with him. It's another example of a interesting, fantastic member of our community.
Good
and I think too, Eddie, people are starving in this world today for human connection.
Yeah.
And you offer that through Note School and the building of this community to allow us all to be together.
Well, they say the 5 people you hang around the most are the people that you're going to become like.
Mm-hmm.
And we've taken that really seriously, and we've taken the community seriously. And to be honest with you, Brenda, not everybody's a fit for Note School. Not everybody, there's a filter process that we have, and I'm not saying that in any kind of an inappropriate tone. I'm just saying, this environment means something. I think people can see that it means something to you,
Mm-hmm.
and we're pretty dang protective of that.
I appreciate that because, especially as a new investor, I didn't know what I didn't know what to look out for in other people and investors. And I know that in the Note School space, it's a safe environment because I guess you're kind of like the gatekeeper. If you come in, you belong, and if you don't come in, you didn't belong. So
I wouldn't put my kids in an environment I didn't want them to be in. You get what I'm saying?
I do, and I appreciate that very much.
All right. You have done a great job of taking this culture, this idea, what you've described, you've taken that back out to your community.
That's right.
So tell a little bit about where you live and what that looks like and kind of how you've done that.
So I live in a little town called Seymour, Tennessee. It's in between Knoxville, Tennessee, where my daughter goes to college at the University of Tennessee, just on the Tennessee River. I'm 10, 15 minutes from there. And then the other direction, about 20 minutes, is Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. So that's where I live. And it's a rapidly growing area. Our investors in the area are extremely active, and investors and land developers. And I was just on the phone with a land developer a moment ago, right before I hopped on this call. It is happening here. Growth is taking place. You can't deny it, and you're not going to hold it back. So I had been networking with Note School for years and know individuals throughout the country. And then I decided quite deliberately that I'm going to start networking at home. Yeah. So I joined a local networking group that was already taking place called Knoxville's Best Real Estate Meetup. And I joined their group called My Tribe. It's Richard Gamble and Jason McDaniel have started that. And then there are a couple of others in town that I joined, Grid, and then South Knoxville's community meetup, Charles Gorman. And I just started networking within these places and spreading the good word about mortgage note investing. So, and I will tell you that they are very interested in notes. So I'll be spreading more education around and developing a community here, just like the one we have in Note School, but just in my backyard. And then in the networking and getting in communities, it's been very helpful to me because if I'm an active investor, so if I have a flip going on and I need a roof replaced, well, if somebody is referred to me and I say, well, I got your name for this group, this roofer is going to take care of me, because he knows I'm in this group, and that's how we just kind of help each other here. So I've learned that model from Note School and have brought it to my backyard, and it's been benefiting me and hopefully benefiting the individuals that I'm networking with here.
That's awesome. And obviously you'll find a lot of passive investors in those groups, that can, help. You can use financial modeling and put them into deals that you're involved in.
That's right.
So
approach me about that, since I started networking at home, and they know that I understand note investing and mortgage notes. And I think that really helps in that space.
They say you can't hide knowledge, Brenda. They say if you know something, there's a crystalline ring of truth in it. Mm-hmm. And I think that you're probably bringing that crystalline ring of knowledge and to those groups. And so I can see the power in that. I want to ask you something, go down memory lane for a minute. You have kind of an inspirational story about something in Note School, something that you've seen that would be worth repeating?
You talk about the time that I helped the lady out and her grown son. So when I joined in April of 2020, and I had not been a real estate investor previous to that for very long at all. So I didn't know a whole lot, but I knew enough from Note School about financing, private financing. And I approached this man about his house and sent him a letter. I'd like to buy your house. So he called me back and negotiated a seller finance deal for me. And then I rented the house out. But the lady that owned the house had Alzheimer's, and the family didn't realize it until she had run up some credit card debt by buying purses. She would just buy purses and then hide them in her room and run up credit cards and then didn't pay them. And so she got into some financial trouble. And then when the son caught up to what was going on, she had to be placed in the home for people that have dementia. Mm-hmm. And she was happy there. Every day was a new day, and he would visit her. And but he needed a certain amount of money. He needed $1,100 a month. He needed mm-hmm. that to match what was short to keep her there. And so like you taught me, I asked him, well, what are your immediate cash needs? What is your need? And got to the emotional, psychological close that like you taught me to do. Mm-hmm. And it took a while. It took a lot of conversations, a couple of months, but we finally got down to it. And he's like, I really just need somebody to clear up these debts that are liens on our house from this credit card stuff she's done. And I need $1,100 a month. That's what I need. And that way she can enjoy this house that my dad built for her. It will still provide for her just in a different way until her dying days. So we set that up. I cleared up the debts and he financed it to me at $1,100 a month. And he was tickled to death. And the lady that owned the house was living her best life at the time. And she's since passed. And I did not sell that house until she had passed, just to make sure that they were continuing to get that same amount of money. And he did not want it sold outright. He had a reason, because the siblings would have come in and wanted a portion mm-hmm. of the house. So he did not want to sell the house. So to sell it on the market was not an option for him. All he cared about was his mom was provided for. So we worked together and did that. And it wasn't until she passed that I sold the house. And it worked out for everybody. It was a win-win all around.
You listen to the story and you structure the deal based on what makes sense in the story, right?
Yes. Yes.
That's awesome. All right. You've obviously got a lot of history. You've done really well in Note School. Let's go back and look back down memory lane a little bit and say, when I started, what would I do? Is there anything I would have done differently? And what is that?
So when I first started, I was very green in real estate investing, and I did not understand networking in the community. I didn't get it. And again, to be fair, it was during COVID. We didn't get together. I didn't know. Like, I hadn't seen you guys. We were always just on Zoom or whatever, and I didn't get it. So I had bought some properties from a local investor in bulk, and it was on my tax return, what I'd done. And my CPA was like, how did you do this? I was like, well, I just sent him an email and I called him up and we had conversations. And so he referred me another tired landlord that also wanted to sell all of his properties, but he had like over 50. And I'd already bought this other portfolio. I was still teaching school. It was overwhelmed. And I just fumbled the ball. And I was like, I can't, I just can't. I wish I had gone back to the Note School community and brought it to everybody and said, I've got this scenario. Somebody help me. I wish I had networked and gotten the help at the time, and I could have bought that portfolio with partnership and coaching that is available at Note School. And I didn't, so that was a powerful lesson. So if I could say anything to new students, is it's like Joe says, don't suffer in silence. Mm-hmm. Don't suffer in silence. Bring your deal to the webinar. Call people in the community that are in the same space as you. put it on Facebook, ask for help, scream it from the rafters, and what you're looking for is available for you at NoteSchool to help you through your deals.
It's the don't be shy message, right? Because you, at the time, you were new and probably a little bit timid, and just weren't really thinking in terms of, I'm going to go bring this 50, because 50 houses to you in one deal at the time was
just like
a little bigger than you could think. And,
but you know what, Eddie, being shy is so expensive.
Well,
it's so
yeah, it is. And you see that now, and and that's why I asked you the question, because I wanted you to be an encouragement to those that aren't as far along as you are, and say, what does that look like and how does it work? Yes, we have an amazing community. And yes, we have some very successful people in our community.
Yes.
The 50 house package is nothing for them.
Right.
And so sometimes, you could just, as you said, partner along beside them and we'll beat it up.
Good.
We have an interesting deal lab you're going to be helping us with, where we have a lady that asked a great question. She says, I've got this and this opportunity, but it's in a state that I don't want to do business. And I'm thinking, well, let's just go figure out how to structure it, and then go find an investor in that market that has a tolerance for that investment that you don't. You can go make money because you've already put the deal together, right? That's what we're going to help lay out for her. But she's new, and it's a little bit beyond her scope at the moment. It won't be when she sees it. It's not for you now, but it was then. So I think Brenda's words to you guys are that, we've created a safe environment where people can operate and learn, and we don't know what we don't know until we learn it, right?
That's right. Right. And don't be shy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say to people that aren't in Note School yet? What would you say to them about getting involved?
Well, I think it's a great time to learn mortgage note investing, because being a traditional landlord, the math is not mathing. Taxes and insurance going up, rents decreasing, purchasing property is going up, interest rates are high. It's just so hard to be a traditional landlord right now. Not impossible. People are still doing it, but I think now would be a great time to learn about mortgage note investing. All the time is a good time to learn about mortgage note investing, but particularly now. And this would be the place to come to get that education, so that you can, enjoy some net income and some cash flow along the way, instead of, constantly paying out for expenses and, you're in the negative. So, I would say get into Note School. Let's get started. Let's have a liaison call, get you on your educational path. And then when you get into Note School, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So we'll put you on a path that's digestible, and encourage you not to be shy and come to all the events, and realize the community that you're in and network with individuals within the community, so that you can experience the growth and potential that's here.
That's awesome. Mr. Joe.
Hey guys, great interview. Wow. Two things, Brenda. I remember when you first came to the Summer Summit, your first live event. I remember you were sitting when you're looking at the audience from the stage, it was on the right side there, right on the very front row. I remember that. And you were kind of quiet, and then you kind of opened up during that piece, because you'd been on the calls there. Mm-hmm. And number two, that Pigeon Forge, Sevierville, and Gatlinburg area, most visited area east of the Mississippi.
That's right. And the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is the most visited national park.
I think it probably is.
Mm-hmm.
That college over there in Knoxville, I didn't know that. Is that a 4-year school now?
Yeah, you can go for 4 years if you really.
Oh, I lived in Knoxville a little while, and I'd go to those Saturday afternoon University of Tennessee games, and the announcer would say, Neyland Stadium is now the third largest city in the state of Tennessee. Largest stadium in the U.S.
It is definitely a growing university. We are really struggling with housing down there right now, finding enough housing for the students. It's crazy how fast it's growing. It's harder to get into than it used to be.
Yeah, it's a great school. Having a little fun with you, of course, but it's awesome, and so glad your daughter's there. And Brenda,
All
thank
right,
you.
guys.
You're awesome.
Thank you for having me. I
Thank you so
appreciate
much, Brenda.
everything.
Thanks for being a part of Note School. Yeah.
Thank you, Eddie.
All right, that's it. We're wrapping up another episode. Thanks so much for being here with us this week. And remember, if you want to know more about Note School, noteschool.com/TV. We will see you same place, same time next week. Take care. Have a great week.